Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to the in-depth editorial analysis discussion, that is IDEA. So guys, in this particular session, we are going to take the best of the editorials that have been featured in the different newspapers, and we are going to see all these particular editorials with respect to the UPSC examination. Now in this particular session, we will be focusing on content enrichment. We are also going to learn the art of contemporary affairs as how they can be linked with the papers of GS 1, 2, 3 and 4. Moreover, as we are going to pick up the editorials, many a number of times the editorials become little bit difficult for the learners to grasp as what the author is trying to say. So detailed backgrounders, structured explanations will also be taken up. Moreover, how in exam the content can be simplified. So the art of exam presentation and multidimensionality will be the most important thing that will be focused in these particular sessions. So in the today's session, we are going to cover the three newspapers or the sources, and four articles in total are we are going to take for today. So the first article is strategic investment in urban India, and this particular article will be important for GS paper number 1, issues related to the urbanizations. And on urbanizations, questions have also been asked in the past. Then this particular article is taken from Hindustan Times. Then second article, judicial independence above all. This article is important for the judicial reforms. Right now the judiciary related issues are lot in the news. This article is from Indian Express. Third article is India's G20 presidency and agenda for the healthcare. So this particular article will be important for India's role in the multilateral bodies, as India is now the president at G20. Indian Express. And then India's energy transition goal to ESG push. This particular article is taken from the print. So let's start with the discussion of all these particular articles one by one. But before that, let's talk about the Unacademy UPSC CSE GS courses, where you get the chance to get educated by India's best educators for the UPSC CSE. You can join immediately and you can avail the massive discounts as well as the free extension offer that is being given on the 18-month subscriptions. So you can see this particular thing, that the 18-month plus GS subscription, it has been slashed, the prices have been slashed. Moreover, 3-month additional extension has been given. This particular offer is valid till 23rd of the December, and you can avail these particular discounts by using code Sahil29. So you can use the code Sahil29 to avail the additional discounts. Moreover, the Aramb batch for UPSC CSE is also being started from December 2022 to December 2022. This will be a English bilingual batch, where again you get an opportunity to get educated by the top educators. Okay. Moreover, you can also enroll in the CSET courses, which have been priced very nominally, and as CSET is becoming a kind of a decider in the prelims examination, fine, you can enroll in the batches. You can avail 10% discount on the CSET batches again if you use the code Sahil29 for that particular thing. Then all these courses are also available at the 0% EMI option. You can call at this number and my team will be connected with you and will guide you through the entire process. And you also, if want, you can take the prelims test series, which is priced at 1,999 and includes 55 plus tests. And this is the mission IRMS. The batches for IRMS 2023 has started from December 18. Now, let's start with the newspaper discussion, and let's start with the first article, that is from Hindustan Times. So article talks about the strategic investment in urban India is rising, but citizen-led behavioral solution is a must thing. Okay, so we need to nudge the citizens in such a way that they become more responsible, and only by that particular thing, urbanization's challenge can be tackled. Okay, before starting up, however, guys, I would like to wish good evening to all of you. Gomed, Pooja, Shubhdi, Priyanka, Pallavi, Meha, JB, Fazil, Pooja, and Madhusmita. A very good evening to all of you. Okay, and surely the telegram channel, you can find the link in the description box. The PDF will be shared after the session. Okay, so that will be done sure after the session ends. Now, before going in this particular thing, guys, let's understand that what we mean by the process of urbanization. Now, when we talk about urbanization is a process where there will be two broad changes that will be coming. Number one, urbanization means physical relocation physical relocation of the people from rural areas towards the urban areas, and in the course the population of urban areas increases, we call it as urbanization. And secondly, urbanization is also distinct change in people's mindset. It also involves change in people's attitudes and people's behavior. So when we talk about the people in rural and urban India, mindset, attitudinal and behavioral changes will also come. So we call it as the soft, we basically call it as social urbanization or urbanization of the mindset. Now understand this particular thing, that urbanization as a process will be indispensable when the country will grow. All the countries in the past has seen urbanization. As development comes, okay, as development comes, the urban population is going to increase. But in India, urbanization happens to be a challenge. Why? Because we are not able to accommodate the rising urban population. It is leading to pressure on public utility services, overcrowding, congestion, fine, poor quality of life in the urban cities is a kind of a daily occurrence. Why this kind of an occurrence is there? Because we have not been able to accommodate the rising problem. So urbanization seems to be a problem, but urbanization is a neutral concept. It has happened in the past, it is happening in India, it will happen in other countries also, but our response towards it has not been sustainable. So therefore we call it as a challenge or a problem. Now, as we talk about the urbanization that's increasing in India, just a minute, as we talk about the urbanization that's increasing in India, we see this particular thing that around India has right now 53 million plus cities. We have 53 cities which are having more than 1 million population, and then we have 5 mega cities. Now, mega cities are those cities which have population of more than 10 million, and in urban India, more than 500 million people are living. And as per Niti Ayog, it has been provided that by 2030, India's 41% population, India's 41% population will be living in urban India. So therefore, urbanization is increasing, urban population is increasing. Moreover, understand this particular thing, development of the Indian cities have also increased. It has gained unprecedented momentum because a lot of investment is being done by the government, both at the central level as well as the state level for urbanization. Moreover, a lot of investments by private sector, etc., is also coming in the urban areas. Now, understand this particular thing. As we talk about the investments into the urban India, we find this particular thing, first of all, that the Union Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs have specifically provided that budget has increased multifold. So from around 17,500 crore rupees budget of Union Ministry of Housing that was there in 2014, it has increased to multiple times in 2022. Moreover, national infrastructure pipeline, which wants to invest for the infrastructure building, it is focusing of bringing investment up to 20 lakh rupees, 20 lakh rupees investment. In total, 100 lakh crore rupees will be invested for infrastructure building under the national infrastructure pipeline. And out of that, 20 lakh crore will come only in the urban infrastructure within next 5 years. Apart from that, there are other strategic investments that are being done. And in the strategic investments, government is rolling out multiple schemes specifically for the urban development, urban infrastructure development. And as we talk about these schemes, some important schemes that we have is Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, Amrut. Amrut. Now, in Amrut Mission involves more than 5,800 projects. Understand, guys, Amrut project aims to improve the quality of basic necessities, basic services that are being provided to the citizens. Under the Amrut mission, more than 100 cities will be covered, and basic amenities such as piped water connection, sewage connection, sanitation, these things will be provided. So 5,800 projects related to water, green spaces, mobility are covered. Lot of investment is coming. The next thing that comes here is that Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana aims to construct 12.2 million houses for urban India. So there a lot of investment is coming. Then Swachh Bharat Mission Urban is also investing a lot of money into the urban areas, particularly for sanitation, cleanliness, water management, toilet construction or toilet. Find 7 million household toilets have been constructed in just last 7 years by using the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. So a lot of investment has come in urban India. by multiple government schemes that have been there. Along with that, Swachh Bharat Mission is also focusing on for creating infrastructure for waste collection, segregation, processing. And then we have the Smart Cities Mission. Smart Cities Mission, where again the thousands of projects have been taken and which have then outlay of 2 lakh crore rupees. So therefore, all these particular schemes are bringing a lot of focus on urban development, urban infrastructure building. Is it clear or not? This is something that's there. Now guys, apart from the central government, state government is also increasing the investments into urban infrastructure, and in this particular direction we find this particular thing, that states have allocated more than 1.5 lakh crore rupees for urban development in just financial year 2022-2023. Moreover, at the city level, so central level schemes we have seen, state level the budget is being allocated, then at the level of the cities, municipal bonds are being raised. By municipal bond the money is being brought out. Okay, then every city, basically the priority are also being given to the affordable housing and other projects also. Cities are ramping up the waste treatment infrastructure. Okay, metro projects have been completed in many of the cities to give the better mobility to the people. Citizen centric development. Okay, so basically guys, citizen centric development is being carried. Basically the development which directly be benefiting the common people, that is something. Okay, now when we talk about the citizen centric development, this tackle the legacy problems. When we directly focus to the citizen, legacy problems such as open defecation has been solved. Moreover, this is the future as government's philosophy is changing from the approach of entitlement to the right based approach. So citizen becomes the center concern, and as all the development is going on this particular thing, it is also in line with the shift of governance philosophy that is evident. Now, to enhance the efficiency of the developmental process in urban Indias, and even to bring the transparency into the urban governance projects, various portals and various schemes, various portals and platforms have also been launched so that the citizens can track that how well or how in transparent manner they are going on. For example, India Urban Data Exchange, National Urban Learning Platform, and Smart Code. These are the platforms where the information can be availed. When we talk about National Urban Governance Platform, it is developed under the National Urban Development Mission. So in these particular ways, we have tackled the urban developmental challenge in India. Now, apart from this particular thing, it's being provided that there are other challenges also that has not been properly addressed, and for addressing these particular challenges, we need to have innovative financial, technological, and behavioral solutions. Fine. Number one, we need to find innovative solutions. Is it clear or not? Number two, financial solutions. A very big problem is the financial crunch that is there. Okay, though a lot of money is being mobilized by the public as well as private, but still we need a lot more money for that. We need technological solution, particularly to solve the problems such as pollution, to solve the problems such as clean water for the people. Is it clear or not? To provide the state of the art e-services to the people. Okay, doorstep delivery of the government services. Technological solutions are needed. Now behavioral solutions. Now guys, when we talk about the behavioral solutions, it means that how we can nudge, or how we can influence the behavior of the citizens so that they act more responsibly. Is it clear? Apart from that particular thing, it's being also provided that beside the union, state government, municipal budget, private investment should also flow into the cities to create user fee based infrastructure. For example guys, when we talk about Delhi, there is a very big problem of parkings. Parking is a very big problem, and because of the parking, often the basically citizens convenience, citizens ease is impacted. Now private sector can come. For example, they can take up a multi-level parking project. They can take a multi-level parking project, can charge a fees for the parking. What has happened? The private sector has an incentive that they will get the fees, and the common citizens will get the facility of the multi-level parking. And by this particular thing, as the congestion, as the parking problem will be resolved, it will also be a win-win situation for the municipalities also. So private investment should come in the user fees based infrastructure where the users will pay the money. Fine. Moreover guys, it has also been provided that keeping water consumption unaccounted and unbilled is a fiscal and environmental fallacy. Now, basically for the water consumption, for the water, the private sector can be brought here, which can make sure that the water consumption is being taken up in a sustainable manner. It is not unaccounted, and the fiscal collection that can be done, it is also being taken efficiently. Private sector can play an important role. After that, way ahead is that we also need to leverage on the life movement which we recently started. Life stands for lifestyle for environment movement. Under the life movement, recently we have started that how the behavioral changes can be brought in the people. So life movement wants to create pro planet people. It wants to create pro planet people. Pro planet people. Those people, pro planet people are those people who are sensitive for the towards the environment. Rather than just becoming as excessive consumers, they focus on sustainable consumption, they focus on sustainable lifestyle patterns. So for that particular thing, consumers will be nudged and lifestyle movement has been started. So therefore this combined approach where behavioral influences, innovative solutions, financial solutions are being brought, this can solve the complex challenge of urbanization. Okay, this is all about this particular article, a good article, and in your urbanization directly it is important. Now moving to the next article. So guys, here we are taking the article judicial independence above all. This article is taken from Indian Express newspaper, and this article will be important for GS paper number 2. The article will be important in GS paper number 2, judicial related issues, judicial issues or judicial reforms, judicial reforms. Now, basically, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the judicial independence, it is very important in Indian constitution. Indian constitution is based on the premise of separation of powers. And in the theory of separation of powers, we find we have legislature, we have executive, we have judiciary. Legislative's function is to make the law, executive's function is to execute the law, and judiciary's function is to ensure that the legislature and executive are doing their duty. Basically, when we talk about judiciary, judiciary needs to be strengthened, needs to be free in a democratic setup. In this particular direction, guys, we have even the Keshwananda Bharati judgment that came in 1973. Okay, just a minute, let's understand a little bit more. So we have the Keshwananda Bharati judgment of the Supreme Court that came in 1973, and this particular judgment provided that there is the basic structure doctrine, basic structure of the constitution. It provided Parliament is not having the endless power, unlimited power to amend the constitution. Certain parts are there which they cannot amend. Now, what are those certain parts which Parliament cannot amend? These parts were called as basic structure, and these parts will be outlined by judiciary from time to time. Judiciary will tell that what is basic structure. Though certain things have been provided, but still judiciary can further look in this particular matter. Now guys, this particular judgment is important on one particular front, that what happened, it helped to tip the balance away from autocracy to democracy. Now in autocracy there is unlimited power with the ruling class, okay, or with the government of that particular time, but it led us towards a democracy. And at the same time it also upheld the judiciary's power. Why? Because judiciary will tell that what is basic structure. So therefore judiciary had a lot of untapped, a lot of power, residual power in their own hands. Now moving on further in this particular direction, guys, see this particular thing. Right now there is a tussle, a friction going on between center and judiciary. Now the friction is going on because of the interpretation of Article 124 and Article 217. First of all, let's understand that what are these two articles. Particularly Article 124, guys, it provides that every judge of the Supreme Court will be appointed by the president after consultation with such number of judges. Basically, Article 124 talks about the appointment of Supreme Court judges, and Article 217 talks about the appointment of the High Court judges. Is it clear? Now, apart from the Article 214 that we have and Article 217 that we have, by the way, Article 217 provides that the judge of the High Court will be appointed by the president after consultation with Chief Justice of India, governor of the state, and Chief Justice of that particular High Court. But further, the appointment process has been streamlined in India by the judicial interpretation that have happened. You might be knowing about the judges case that came. So the SP Gupta versus Union of India case 1981, Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association case 1993, and the third judge's case 1998. It has evolved the collegium system for recommending judges. Collegium system for recommending judges. Present situation for the appointment of the judge is this, that for the Supreme Court, the judges that will be appointed, it will be based on the basis of the collegium of 5 members, that is Chief Justice of India and 4 senior most judges of Supreme Court. They will nominate, or they will recommend, they will recommend the name for the appointment of a judge at Supreme Court. And for High Court, there will be Chief Justice of India and 2 senior most judges of the Supreme Court that will constitute a collegium. They will recommend the name, and on that particular basis, the president will make the appointment. Now, this collegium system has been devised on the basis of judicial pronouncements. And by this particular thing, judiciary got absolute power in their own hand to determine that who is going to be the judge. Now, this particular thing, guys, have been criticized a lot. Why? Because it is being said that judiciary, by taking a lot of power, many number of times nepotism and favoritism have been seen in judicial appointments. There is a phenomenon of uncle judges, that judges are appointing their own nephews, etc., nephews and nieces in High Court. Okay, fine, that is something that has happened. Now, when we talk about the center can accept or reject the recommendation made by collegium, but if the recommendation was reiterated again, if the recommendation is given, then government has to accept it. So therefore there is a ultimate power in the hand of Supreme Court with respect to the appointment. Clear or not? But recently, what has happened? Recently, there is a conflict that has happened. Why? Because the center even stalled the recommendations retaliated by the collegium. Okay, so collegium gave certain judgments, but that particular judgments have been certain recommendations, but that recommendations have not been taken up. Because of this particular tussle, judicial incapacity is coming in India. What's judicial incapacity? We find this particular thing that number one, when the high courts are concerned, there were approximately in the higher court, particularly when the Supreme Court is concerned, there are 3 vacancies out of the 34 judges strength that we have. So in Supreme Court, 3 vacancies. Then in the High Court, we have that around 381 vacancies are there approximately. Now, number is not important, you don't need to go in the number, but in High Court, approximately 30% vacancies are there. Why? Because the names are not being cleared. At the same time, even in the lower judiciary, there are the vacancies that we have, though at the lower judiciary, Supreme Court's appointment will not come in the place, but still in the lower judiciary, we see this particular thing, that around 5,300 seats out of 24,000 seats are vacant, 20% of its capacity. Okay. Now, further, guys, understand this particular thing, that most of these vacancies are in the high courts of Bombay, Punjab, Haryana, Calcutta, Patna, Rajasthan, etc. And because of these inefficiencies, there are 4 crore plus cases that are pending. So therefore, what we need? We need a judicial reform. Now, first of all, on the lines of the judicial reform, we can see that how in other countries, the members of the judiciary, the judges into the Supreme Court, etc., are being appointed. So here you can take the example of Italy. First of all, in the Italy, for the appointment in the constitutional court, the appointments are made by the president, legislature, and Supreme Court. Now, all of them are allowed to nominate 5 judges. 5 judges they can nominate all. Okay, president, legislature, and Supreme Court each can nominate 5 judges. Then in US, the Supreme Court justices are nominated for life. So a judge is for the life, and the judges are appointed by the president, and then they are approved by the Senate via majority vote. And in Germany, the constitutional court is appointed by the parliament. So in all these particular countries, we see this thing that the judges themselves are not appointing the other fellow judges. That power has been given either to parliament or to the president or some other kind of a body. Okay. Now, these issues can also lead to the partisan judiciary. Okay. How the partisan judiciary can come here? Specific one case study has been given of USA. Now, when we talk about the USA's, the state Supreme Court, so you know that the USA is constituted by the state. So within the state also, there are the state Supreme Courts that they have. So there the judges are, so in the variety of states in the USA, A variety of states in the US are using elections for judicial appointment, but it can incentivize the judges to give the populist judgments. They might give those kind of a judgment which is populist, which attracts more and more people, so that the people choose that particular judge. Now understand this particular thing. This process is being criticized. Why? Judge don't need to have public approval, because public approval might sometimes even might not be based on very much rational ideas that can happen. So judges needed to be judged onto the basis of competency and not public approval. Now, here it's being provided that there are other judicial reforms ideas that can be taken from other countries. For example, there is idea of judicial councils. Okay, so there are the judicial councils which comprise the existing judges, representatives of the Ministry of Justice, member of bar association, laymen, etc. They appoint judges. In Iraq, we know this, we have this particular idea that the judges are the graduates of the judicial institute. They need to undergo the written test, oral test, along with an interview that will happen with the panel of the judges, and only the one who will qualify it, they will be appointed as judges. In USA, the state governor appoints the state judges based on the recommendations of a merit commission. This is something that's there. In Japan, there is a Supreme Court Secretariat which controls the lower level judicial appointment. Their training, their promotion also will be seen by the Supreme Court Secretariat. Then in the UK has moved towards the Judicial Commission which will suggest the appointment. Now, what reform should be brought in India? So first of all, the government want this particular thing, that we need to revive the National Judicial Appointment Commission again. Now, let's understand a little bit about the National Judicial Appointment Commission. So basically guys, by the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act, National Judicial Appointment Commission was created. Okay. Now, this National Judicial Appointment Commission suggested that the judiciary will be appointed by a collegium, a body. Is it clear or not? But this 99th Constitutional Amendment Act got struck by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court provided that it is going against the basic structure. Supreme Court provided that it is taking away the independence of the judiciary. So therefore, it got removed. Now it has been provided that in the lines of the reform, what we can do, collegium system which is existing right now, it might continue. But apart with that, we need to also constitute a secretariat which will be empowered to select as well as to recommend the candidates. Okay. Now, executives will hold the power to appoint the judges. Collegium will recommend the name, but the collegium will be given the suggestion by this particular secretariat. Now, this secretariat can have the current judges, the members of the bar association, representatives of the law ministry, some common people, laymen. Okay, they should be there so that they can represent the society. So this secretariat will suggest the names will go to the collegium will also be continuing, then they will suggest the name to the government for the appointment. So by this particular thing, the representation in the judicial appointment process is being brought. Apart from that, there is another reform that is being suggested, and this is a very important one. It is being provided that we need to have a new court of appeal. Now let's understand this particular idea of the court of appeal. When we talk about the Supreme Court, guys, Supreme Court never intended to be a court of appeal where the appellate petitions will go. For example, let's say if a matter has been decided by the district court, then that particular matter will be appealed often in the High Court. So from the High Court, the matter might go for appeal to the Supreme Court. That is something that is happening. And today, a lot of log jam that's there in the Supreme Court, a lot of backlog that is there in the Supreme Court, it is because of the matters of appeal that Supreme Court is hearing. Now, Supreme Court need to be the court where constitutional matters should be discussed, matters of federal dispute should be discussed, or matters where the fundamental right violation have happened, that should be discussed, because this was the role that was envisaged on the Supreme Court by the Constitution of India. But now it is just hearing, a lot of matters are hearing from the appeal. Is it clear or not? So this is something that has happened. Now, again, basically Supreme Court never intended to be the regular court of appeal against the High Court orders. Fine. So therefore, what is recommended? Law Commission, fine. Law Commission have recommended that we need to have a federal court of appeal with the branches in the major metro cities. So there will be a federal court of appeal, and all the appeals will go in this federal court of appeal rather than going in the Supreme Court. Okay. So the appeals will go here. Is it clear or not? and this particular thing can be created by a constitutional amendment act, and the Supreme Court needs to be transformed in just the constitutional court, and for that a constitutional amendment act will be needed. It should not take the matters of appeal in its own hand. By that particular thing, judicial backlog will be resolved. It means there will be the fewer cases which will be pending for more number of times into the judiciary, and this is a very important reform. Then next line of reform can be something like this, that what we need to do, we need to push for a defined retirement age. Retirement age needs to be increased for the high court judges. Okay, now understand this thing. At high court, a judge retires at the age of 62. Okay, now we need to increase this particular age to 65 at least. Moreover, after the retirement, post retirement, the judges should after the post retirement, there should be a mandatory cooling off period. Fine, judges cannot be nominated to the roles in the government. You might be knowing an issue where one of a Supreme Court judge took the seat in parliament. He took a seat in parliament. So that thing points out that there might be some kind of a political inclination that would have happened. So therefore, a cooling period needs to be there. Government cannot appoint the judges in some government role for a particular time. Then also there needs to be a credible and impartial system of appointing of judges, which is very much necessary. The judicial system should be detached from the political ideology, should be detached from the public pressure, but at the same time, it should also be independent. Is it clear? It should also be fair and transparent. So therefore, these judicial reforms are very much important and they are needed. Clear? So that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And now let's move on and let's discuss the next article. Okay. Primary Healthcare 2.0. Now this article is taken from the Indian Express. Now this particular article, here we are talking that how India, while being the G20 president, can take the important matters for public health, primary health. Now this particular article will be important for GS paper number 2, India's role in multilateral bodies, and secondly, this article can also be important for GS paper number 2, issues related to health. So let's take the article. Now, India's G20 presidency, an agenda for healthcare. First of all, guys, when we talk about the health has been an important priority in almost all the countries where democratic tradition prevails. Health has been recognized as a fundamental right. Even India, the health has been implicitly recognized as a fundamental right under article number 21. Now, even in the G20, health has been a priority area since 2017. What happened? Here the health ministers of the G20, they met under the German presidency, and the Berlin Declaration was adopted in 2017. Now, in the Berlin Declaration, G20 health ministers focused on a composite approach. They provided that there are certain arenas in the health which cannot be ignored and which are immediately should be addressed. Now, number one, pandemic preparedness was focused. Though at that point of a time COVID-19 was not there, but it was expected that a pandemic might come and we need to be ready. Then health system strengthening was focused. Primary healthcare sector centers, secondary healthcare, tertiary healthcare, how they can be strengthened, and tracking the antimicrobial resistance. So today we find this particular thing, that antibiotic resistance, antimicrobial resistance has become a very big problem. So these three focus areas were the important matter that was taken up in the Berlin Declaration of 2017. Now, in the past, questions have directly been asked on these particular declarations, kind of a thing. For example, on Beijing Declaration, already a question has been asked, but the questions are broad. For example, in Beijing Declaration, it is on women, by the way. Question was asked that what Beijing Declaration pertains to: women, environment, such kind of a thing. So this is important. Now, basically, the article is talking about this particular thing, that see, COVID-19 pandemic has given more urgency to give focus on pandemic preparedness. Though Berlin Declaration of 2017 talked about the pandemic preparedness, but with the coming of COVID-19, pandemic preparedness is given even more importance. Now, the article is taking about this particular thing, that we need to strengthen, first of all, the health systems, health facilities, if we need to strengthen the entire health ecosystem. We talk about the idea of the universal health coverage, which became very popular in 2000, and universal healthcare was needed to prevent the catastrophic medical expenditure. Now, universal healthcare, guys, simply means that every person, irrespective of their paying capacity, irrespective of their religion, ethnicity, caste, class, they should have accessibility of the health care. So healthcare should be accessible. Paying capacity should not be the restriction which deters, okay, a person's health availability. In this particular direction, it has been provided that there are the high medical expenditures in the secondary and tertiary level hospitals. So therefore, to deal with this particular thing, universalization of universal health coverage, universal health insurance coverage also got discussed. Now, health insurance coverage. Actually, guys, out of pocket expenditures are abnormally high actually in many of the in many of the countries, particularly when we talk about India. Out of pocket expenditure is 62%. Why? Because insurance coverage is not there. So insurance coverage is a very good aspect of ensuring the people's health. Further, 2015 sustainable developmental goals were taken up. Sustainable developmental goals are the set of 17 goals and 169 targets, which focuses on almost all the arenas of human development and other aspects also. SDG goal number 3 specifically provided for healthcare at all the ages. But even now we find this particular thing, that there is limited healthcare that is available to the people. There is a limited impact of all these things. SDG goal number 3, Berlin Declaration, and all these things are very limited. Why? Number one, we see this particular thing. Expenditure on outdoor services is becoming catastrophic for poor households. Okay. Now, second is that preventing access to necessary healthcare and medicines are there. Okay, basically because of the high expenditures, okay, necessary healthcare is not being availed. Many unnecessary irrational medical interventions are being taken on the people. So outdoor services, outdoor health services, they are expensive. Okay, they are preventing the access to the healthcare. Irrational medical intervention, irrational services, irrational procedures are being are just being imposed on the people. Now the article is talking about this thing, that we need to focus on primary healthcare with universal healthcare approach. For that particular thing, we need to strengthen the primary level care. At the primary healthcare, we need to strengthen them so that they can cater to most of the health requirement of the people. Moreover, we also need to link the primary healthcare with the non-medical preventive action. Now, what is non-preventive medical action? See this particular thing. Many of the diseases can outrightly be prevented if there is good nutrition that people are taking, food security is there, if there is if there is hygienic surroundings, if there is safety, if there is a safe water, safe air, good air quality, if there are healthy workspaces, many of the diseases can outrightly be ignored. So there will be the non-medical preventive action strategy that should also be taken up. Is it clear? This principle needs to be extended. We have the Astana Conference of 2018. Now, Astana Conference of 2018 was organized by the WHO as well as UNICEF, and it put out a declaration that primary healthcare is essential for the universal healthcare. Secondary healthcare, tertiary healthcare are important, but they will be of no use, they will be of no avail if we don't focus on universal healthcare first. In this particular direction, the United Nations General Assembly has also adopted the UHC-PHC approach as a political declaration. Fine, that it needs to be made a political priority by all the governments. Right. Then we have the World Bank report of 2021, and the name of the report is Walking the Talk. Walking the Talk: Reimagining Primary Healthcare After COVID-19. Now, in this particular Walking the Talk report, it has been provided that COVID-19 had demonstrated the benefits of public healthcare during the pandemic. Because of that particular thing, people got a lot of benefit. But at the same time, these global vision documents, they say that they are important, but they are not addressing the nature of hospital systems. They are not addressing the other deeper problems that we have. So therefore, how? what needs to be done for the further improvement in healthcare. So in this particular direction, guys, fine, first of all, we need to remember the spirit of Alma Ata Declaration on Public Healthcare of 1978. So Alma Ata Declaration specifically provided that intervention at the primary healthcare is the most significant intervention to conserve the health of the general population. Is it clear? So the spirit of Alma Ata Declaration needs to be included in all the recent initiatives that are being taken at other platforms. And now, as India is the president for the G20 for 2023, this particular spirit is to be spread by India. Now further, health needs to be made as a central in all the sectors, okay, in all the policies, in all the policy actions, all the laws, what is happening, health needs to be integrated in it. For example, environmental policies need to be designed that health is being kept into the mind. Developmental policies need to be designed keeping health in the mind. Everything, urban development needs to be taken up keeping that how the health of the people can be enhanced. So in all the policies, health needs to be taken as an important parameter. Then guys, next thing that is coming is that one health approach. One health approach. Now what is one health approach? One health approach means that, see, the health of environment, environmental health, animal health, environmental health, animal health, and the human health. Okay. So what it's providing? Health of human, health of animal, and health of environment are linked. So this here, where the interjunction of all three, it is one health. It is one health. So one health concept simply means that if we talk about conservation of the health, rather than focusing on the human health, that only we talk about human health and human health will be conserved, no, that will not happen. Till the time environmental health is intact, till the time animal health is intact, the human health cannot be conserved. Now we know this particular thing. COVID-19 is a zoonotic disease. It means that the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic is in the animals. So as humans are coming more and more near with the environment, we are cutting down the trees, and as we are going more near to environment, as the animal based diets, etc., wet markets around the world are increasing, we need to make sure that human will be sure only when the animal and the environment is in good health. Now further moving in this particular direction, guys, it has been provided that we need to design, we also need to focus on pandemic preparedness. Okay, there might be a possibility that in future the span between the two pandemics might get reduced. Now the last pandemic, the fatal pandemic that we had was a Spanish influenza pandemic of 1920s. And the next pandemic after that, which became a fatal pandemic, it was COVID-19 pandemic, which came in 2020. So the span was of around 100 years. It might get reduced. Okay, so therefore pandemic preparedness needs to be there. We also need to design the public healthcare with the UHC. Okay, primary healthcare, primary healthcare and the universal healthcare are needed to be connected. Okay, self care, community services, primary level paramedical services, hospital services, all are needed to be improved. Fine. Then further, when we talk about the primary healthcare principles, we need to provide primary healthcare as close to the homes as possible. If you need to go 10 kilometers to avail the primary healthcare, it is not a good primary healthcare. So it should be provided as close to the homes as possible with appropriate technology. So early detection of many of the diseases, and it can be possible if primary healthcare center have the adequate technologies, and they are also need to be provided the cost effective, affordable and easily deliverable remedies, medical services to the people. Fine. Self reliance, okay, these primary healthcare centers can these primary healthcare centers, as we are talking about it, okay, they can promote the self reliance in the communities also if they are arranged in a proper way. Then we need to strengthen the health systems by using the health technology assessments. Ethics of healthcare, ethics of the doctors, ethics of the paramedic staff also needs to be strengthened up. Unethical practices needs to be avoided. Fine. Then there needs to be the equitable access to pharmaceutical products, vaccines, medicines, etc., that are to be given. integrative health system, okay, plural knowledge system, rationality. Guys, understand, I'll make you understand this particular point. When we talk about Indian medicine, we have multiple approaches. We have the allopathy, we have homeopathy, we have Unani, Siddha, allopathy, etc. Many number of times the regimens of treatment are different. Regimen of homeopathy and regimen of allopathy will be different, but we need to find the common grounds. Integrative health system, the health system which integrates all the alternative approaches, we need to work on that. Then for the marginalized section of the society, we need to give them specific focus. Gendered healthcare needs, okay, special healthcare need for the women is needed to be focused. Healthcare need of indigenous people globally, occupational health, okay, there are many of the diseases, many of the health dangers that a person might contact because of the type of work that person is doing. So occupational health, mental health, okay, healthy aging, all these things are needed to be focused. Then we also need to focus on decolonization and democratization of health. Is it clear or not? Health facility needs to be provided at all the decentralized level, with all are need to be provided. Then the basically low and middle income countries, their health also needs to, they are also to be provided financial assistance, technological assistance, or any other kind of an assistance that they need for improving the health delivery in these particular states. Fine. Then moving on, India's role, what India can play the role. The schemes that India had taken up, these particular schemes can be used as a template by the other countries for designing their own health policies as well. For example, National Health Mission for strengthening public health delivery is there. Now, lessons from National Health Mission can be taken up. Now, National Health Mission has been a quite a quite a decent success. Then India's HIV control program. So, on the HIV control, we have successfully worked, and NACO, National AIDS Control Organization, had worked a very good work. So basically its case study can also be taken. The NACO's program and NACO's involvement of affected person community, okay, and a very well managed service structure that it has prepared. India can teach that to other countries. Pluralism of the health knowledge, okay, different type of health regimes that we have, and how independently they are being supported within the national health system. Okay, we have multiple health regimes and all are being supported at the same time. Okay, so that particular thing can also be taken up. Moreover, the ASHA workers, okay, ASHA means accredited social health activist. So ASHA health personals, they have played a very important role during the times of the pandemic. Okay, for ASHA workers, mid-level health providers, okay, wellness center, traditionally community health providers, okay, basically these health practitioners and health providers needed to be leveraged. Okay, voluntary quality certification should also be given to them. Then research is to be done for the validation of traditional system. So we have yoga, we have siddha, and we many such kind of an alternative systems are there. So they needed to be validated with the evidence based approach. Pharmaceutical and vaccine production capacity is to be enhanced. Developments is to be done into the digital health, national digital health mission, already we are taking it up. Then social insurance schemes and people's hospital models by the civil society can also be taken up. Okay, so this is something that India has worked upon, and it can be a meaningful lesson for the entire world countries, which India can teach to the other countries while we are the G20 leaders. Now, in this particular direction, it's being provided that India should use its G20 presidency to draft a model policy on focusing on the primary health care. Okay, we need to create a draft policy which keeps in mind the universal, affordable, inclusive, and justice oriented healthcare. Such kind of model needs to be drafted, and this particular model needs to be sustainable means that it needs to be cost effective, it needs to be affordable, it needs to be inclusive, and this particular kind of a dialogue, this agenda is needed to be carried with is needed to be carried, and other countries can take meaningful lessons from this. Moreover, India can also think of organizing a global conference on rethinking healthcare systems. Okay, in this particular direction, we can find out the challenges and how the modern solutions for the traditional challenges can be brought. For that particular thing, we can organize a global conference to rethink these particular challenges. Now, when we talk about, guys, basically as we talk about the India, or sorry, as we talk about the G20, within the G20 there are the G7 countries which are already there, and these G7 countries already, as they are into the G20 countries, they can provide a lot of meaningful support even to the low and medium income countries. Okay, so therefore the health, which has been an unfinished agenda, it's now need to be taken up by the G20 countries. Now moving on. So this is an article from the print newspaper, and the article says that India's energy transition goal needs an ESG push, but there is little clarity on what it is. Okay. Now, this particular article we'll see with respect to the environment, okay, environmental transition, GS paper number 3. First of all, before going in it, what we understand by ESG. Okay, ESG, it stands for, just a minute. ESG stands for environment social governance parameters. Now understand this particular thing. Basically, there are, guys, a set of investors. There are a set of investors who, before investing in a corporate, sees that whether that particular corporate is environmentally sensitive or not, is socially sensitive or not, and the corporate governance model of that particular corporate is just fine or not. Only if a country, or sorry, only if a company, only if a corporate is fulfilling the environmental, social and governance obligations, then only the investors invest in these particular companies. So these are the parameters which the conscious investors choose before deciding to invest or not. Now, as we talk about India, understand this particular thing, that India already have adopted that we are going to achieve the net zero emission. We will become carbon neutral by 2070. And to be carbon neutral by 2070, a lot of investment is needed by India. This particular transition requires around $28 billion yearly. $28 billion are needed yearly to move from coal to the fossil fuels and renewables. This is a huge money. Now, this particular money can be brought by ESG investing. So the private investors who are considerably sensitive to the environment, they can specifically focus on the projects which are going for green transition, okay, renewable energy projects. They can be sponsored, or they can be, sorry, in that the money can be invested by the private investors. But there are certain challenges, there are certain fears that the ESG investors are having. What are these fears that the ESG investors have? Number one, ESG investors are they are hesitant about, or they are actually cautious about the greenwashing. Now, what is greenwashing? Basically, guys, greenwashing simply means, suppose there is a company, just a minute. Now, there is a company will publicize that the products that they are manufacturing are environmentally responsible, but actually these products are not that environmentally responsible. They say that, okay, we use X process, and by this particular X process we save a lot of water, okay, so therefore we are environmentally responsible, but by other process they might be wasting a lot of water. So basically, companies advertise themselves that they are environmentally sensitive, but they are actually not. So these false claims are the greenwashing. So many number of times companies are portraying themselves are environmentally sustainable, but they are not. So this greenwashing is something that deters many times the ESG investors. Is it clear? So what is greenwashing? It involves making unsubstantiated claims to deceive consumers in believing that a company's products are environmentally friendly. Therefore, the next thing that is coming is that the environmental disclosures are more clear-cut than social or governance disclosures. Okay, many number of times the environmental disclosures are very clear, but research finds weak correlation between ESG scores and emission growth across large emitters. Some countries will show that, okay, we are ESG responsible, we are doing good for environment, social and governance. So their ESG scores might be high, but their emissions should be low, but actually it is also high. So this is actually the thing. Now, it's being provided in this particular election, guys, that SEBI had recently came out with the business, SEBI had come out with the business responsibility and sustainability report, which is mandatory for top 1000 listed companies in India from financial year 2023. Now, what is this? This BRSR, that is Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report. In this particular report, they need to very clearly provide that what they are doing in order to ensure the sustainability of environment, sustainability of our processes. But what actually can happen, these particular reports will become over prescriptive. They will provide they will provide a lot of information, and actually the meaningful information will not be provided. Okay, so a lot of information is being provided, but meaningful information is not being provided. It might lead to information overload. It might reduce the ability of small investors to identify the true substance of these particular reports. So therefore, this is something that is happening. So this entire business responsibility sustainability report might become redundant. We need to be very careful on that. Fine, SEBI, etc. needs to be very careful on this particular thing. Then further moving on, it has been provided that, guys, when we talk about the major sectors of India, which are the big emitters, electricity sector is one of them. And electricity sector is having a lot of problems in terms if electricity sector wants to be environmentally sensitive. For example, basically electricity regulators, okay, in Indian states, they have revoked the power purchase agreement with the solar producers. So many a times the private players are coming into the solar panel deployment. They are deploying their solar panels. They are deploying their solar panels, or they are deploying the solar plants. Now, when they'll produce electricity, obviously they need to sell the electricity to some purchaser. So basically the government are signing the power purchase agreements. They are signing the power purchase agreement, but then they cancel these power purchase agreements. So a lot of investment that has been done by the solar producer, these investments are not getting adequate ROI, return on investment. After that particular thing, we also find this particular thing, that private sector also are facing the risky investing environment. They invest, but these PPAs, power purchase agreement, will be cancelled. Moreover, government is not giving a clarity on these particular projects and their policy. So therefore, it is bringing a lot of risks. Okay, we see this particular thing, that there is a poor financial health of the state electricity boards. Okay, so state electricity boards, they have poor financial health. They don't have a lot of money. So many number of times when a private solar power producer is selling the electricity to the distribution companies, they don't have money and they might default on that particular payment. And if they will default the payment, the private investors will not be incentivized to come in this particular thing. Now, why there are so much bad financial health of these distribution companies? It is because of the lot of aggregate transmission and distribution losses, AT&D losses, aggregate transmission and distribution losses. Many number of times they themselves are not getting the money from the users who are using the electricity. Transmission losses are there, technical losses they have. So therefore, private players are going to exercise caution before entering into the risky contracts in the solar sector. Now, the way ahead, basically it has been provided that the ESG, fine, environment social governance funds, are expected to become almost 1/3 of the total assets under management by 2025. So out of the total stocks assets that we have, ESGs are going to be a very big category. But we need to reduce the opacity. Many number of times ESG investors, they need information, okay, about the carbon footprint of a corporate and all such kind of things. But they don't have information. So the opacity that is there, it's needed to be reduced. We need to improve the overall policy environment. Okay. Then we also need to develop the credible third-party agencies that can certify the ESG standards. Now, understand this particular thing. Suppose a company says that we are environmentally sensitive because we are carbon neutral, or they say we are carbon negative. Let's say there is one particular company, they say we are carbon negative and therefore we are environmentally sustainable. They had given this particular claim. But whether really they are ESG compliant, for that we need to have the third party agencies which can confirm these particular kind of claims. But it will take time. So meanwhile, we need to focus that development needs to be sustainable, and information asymmetry between investors and companies, they needed to be reduced. We need to come out with such kind of mechanisms that Companies themselves provide a lot and lot more information to the investors so that the investors can decide that whether they want to invest or not. There is also a need for fundamental reform in the power sector as well. There is a need for reform in the power sector as well. So we have seen this particular thing in power sector. There are many of the challenges in power sector. We have seen this particular thing that the power purchase agreements are being revoked by the government because of that particular thing. Private investors are very much hesitant in coming in this particular sector. So power sector can be one particular sector. Moreover, we already have promised that 500 gigawatt of energy is to be deployed by the renewable energies. So private sector's participation is very much crucial. We need to identify the bottlenecks and we need to remove them. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article, and with this we come to an end to the today's editorial analysis discussion. So that is all guys for the today. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time, that is the 7 p.m. Okay, till then guys, please take care of yourselves, and I hope that you are liking this particular initiative, and I hope that you are getting the benefit of this particular initiative as well. Okay, so that is all guys for the today, and if you have any doubt, you may ask your doubt. Yes, any doubt here? Okay guys, any doubt? Meanwhile, a very good evening to all of you. Akashdeep, Shubdeep, Meha, Gaurinath, Sandeep, A. Ravi. Sir, I am from West Bengal. Thank you for your restless efforts every day. Glad, Shubdeep, that you are liking it. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, guys, you all are welcome, and now we'll meet tomorrow. Please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.